You're flying with Pod Squadron podcast. All wings report in. Pod Pirate standing by.
Pod Pecker standing by.
Pod May standing by.
All ships to attack formation. Mission objectives to talk about the full scope of the Star Wars experience, from movies to TV shows, animation, games, comics, books, themed experiences, merch, and your art and inspiration from the galaxy far, far away. In today's flight plan includes our special guest today, stunt person Lauren Mary Kim. And we covered part 3 of Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. And for all of you out there, all comm channels are open. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. Find us on YouTube. Like and subscribe and hit the bell icon so you know when we have new content. But first, I'll be your squad leader for the day. I'm Andy Lowe, a.k.a. the Chinese Pirate, director, storyteller, puppeteer, performer, and fight choreographer. On my wing is Tracy.
Hi, I'm Tracy, aka Hot Nerd Girl, writer, blogger, occasional cosplay artist, and all-around geek girl.
And on my other wing is Lexi.
Hi guys, I'm a circus artist, art department gremlin, and end-of-life doula in training. Great to be with you guys.
And we are just one squad in the fleet. We're part of the Geekish Network. That's twitch.tv/Geekish Network. And don't forget our auxiliary support ships from Digital Click Marketing as we build and expand. As foils to attack position, we're going in. Welcome to another great, very, very exciting show today. Before we get into everything, what's the haps, Lexi? What's new in the news from the galaxy?
Ooh, news from the galaxy. I had my report pulled up right here, and then...
If you're not ready, we can maybe jump to Tracy.
Go ahead and jump to Tracy real fast.
Okay. Tracy, what do you got?
I am very excited about my news today. I sent it to you and didn't even realize that you had already sent it to me. It's because if you have watched the show from the beginning, you know about my love of Ewoks. And Disney Plus is getting the Ewok movies and shows. And I'm so incredibly excited. I just want to smush their faces and barf all over them because they're so cute. But it's gonna be Battle for Endor and Caravan of Courage. I know that. So
this is just to catch everyone else up. If you grew up in the 80s like me, there were 2 direct to
definitely
TV.
Not like me at all.
I'm just saying I'm old. That's why I'm like a fully.
I'm way younger than that. I'm so much younger than you, Andy.
But there were 2 direct to television Ewok movies that came out as kids. One of them had Wilford Brimley in it, and like another one had a crazy like witch villain character that was more medieval than like Star Warsy. But yeah, those were very fun.
Wilford Brimley's the diabetes guy.
Yes, right. America's grandpa, right?
Thank you for the context.
But but this is part of a whole drop of new Star Wars content that's coming. Do you want to talk about some of the other stuff that's also coming?
There's going to be, I'm going to mispronounce his name, Gennady.
Gennady, yeah.
Gennady Tartakovsky's Star Wars Clone Wars Season 1 and 2.
Yeah.
How does that differ from Clone Wars, the series?
So this is exciting. So this was a cel-drawn animation show that ran on, I believe it was Cartoon Network. And this was the predecessor to the Clone Wars animated series. And really, honestly, it was like maybe 2 seasons of 12 episodes that were like maybe 10 minutes each. It was
blockier. The animation was blockier.
Yeah. Well, and if you know Gennady Tartakovsky's work, he after this kind of went on to basically be an action movie storyboard artist because the blocking and the layout work is fantastic. He also, I believe, did. I think he's also the crazy mind behind. Was it the original Powerpuff Girls? I think.
Oh.
And Samurai Jack, I think.
Oh wow.
I would be 2 years old learning that if that were true. I'd trust you on that.
I've never seen either of those shows.
Really? Samurai Jack is excellent. Definitely worth going back to check out.
I have a friend who cosplays Samurai Jack. Does that count?
I admittedly know a lot less about Samurai Jack than I do about the Powerpuff Girls.
And apparently he did Dexter's Laboratory as well, according to Defunct
Yes.
12.
Right. And one more bit of animation that's coming out with this drop,
Yes,
too, right?
the story of the faithful Wookiee. It was an animated short for the holidays, right?
Yeah, it was basically a little short animated film that was in the middle of the Star Wars holiday special. And this was the first introduction of Boba Fett, actually. And a lot of things that we see in Boba Fett, like his rifle, the disintegration rifle, him riding a giant lizard, a lot of things that have become, central to that character are all first seen in this little 70s animated short.
And they've been bringing those things into The Mandalorian bit by bit. I love this podcast so much because I know a decent amount about Star Wars. I mean, or you guys wouldn't have me here, but I every week I learn something like this. So I'm just like, hold on, what? I sound very excited that I'm not going to get to see this. It's like I get to have a little bit again.
Well, your excitement is infectious. I love it.
We got the correction from the producers. It's Jendi. So I am wrong. Don't listen to me.
So I was right.
You were right. I was wrong.
Yes.
But I'm an animation nerd, so I have even more more credit for that. Thank you for that. Lexi, what you got?
So I was able to find the article. So basically, Marvel's Star Wars are doing a series of Pride Month covers, complementing Phil Jimenez's Pride Month variant with queer characters from the Marvel U, and it's featuring Star Wars characters. So we've got right now. We've got 6 covers, and it says that they're going to appear on the title Star Wars number 14, Darth Vader number 13, Dr. Aphra number 11. I actually recently found out that Dr. Aphra is canonically had at least one ex-girlfriend, so she's at the very least bisexual. Hey.
Dr. Aphra is a very beloved character. I've actually never read any of the books or comics with her, but
I think it was established in a comic that she has an ex-girlfriend.
Cool.
So at the very minimum,
I also know that she is designed as a mixed race Asian looking humanoid too, which is kind of cool.
That's fun. So you've got and then Bounty Hunters 13, High Republic 6, Star Wars, a couple of them basically. And there we are. This is what I was looking for. This is the part I was looking for. So the characters on the covers that are going to be featured are Dr. Aphra, Senastaros, Ray Sloan, Eric Quell, Tarek, and Sarah. I don't know those. And Lando.
I don't know these either.
You know that one. And they're all going to be rendered by queer artists, which is really fantastic. No stories about us without us kind of feel.
I do love this kind of this retconning, or I don't know if it's a retcon. It could have been in their headcanon all along. But that Lando Calrissian is an LGBTQ character.
Yeah, I mean, it really fits that he does give. I mean, not that all pan people have the same vibe, but he does give off a very believably pansexual vibe.
Totally.
Yeah, he's like Jack Harkness from Doctor Who. You know?
Yeah, that's I didn't think of that. That Jack Harkness is the Lando of Doctor Who.
For sure.
Well, thank you for those.
What do you got, Andy?
Well, what I got is it's not really Star Wars related, and it's a little bit just more personal. We were kind of debating whether or not, we try to keep this a little bit of a safe space, right? This is our Star Wars show. This is the Geekish Network. This is a channel that is kind of dedicated to. I mean, of course, it was built in the pandemic, and we've been very conscious about giving us kind of a space where we can feel a little bit of normalcy and talk about Star Wars and talk about geek and film and pop culture things. But it doesn't feel right that we not address this. We have a platform, and we should talk about it. That there was an attack on eight people lost their lives this past week in an act of hate, and it is the latest and most extreme event in what has been a mounting issue as certain rhetoric and language has led to increasing xenophobia and attacks on the Asian American community. And it's one thing that this has happened, right? I mean, this is the crazy thing, right? Is that this is the first mass shooting that's happened since 2019, which is already a weird thing to think about, because it's like, okay, when you put it in that context, how screwed up is that 8 people losing their lives feels small to what we were used to before the freaking pandemic, right? That's already one level of something's very wrong here. Something is fucking broken. But on top of that, the way that it has been covered in media, the way that the press conference went, was in some ways more unnerving to me than the act itself. And I don't know how I feel about that either, but the fact that someone can come up and say that this is a result of sexual addiction, which is a dubious thing, the fact that it's reported as an Asian massage parlor and what internal biases that preys on versus a day spa, right? Of the 8 people who were killed, only 2 of them were under 50, right? These are not like temptresses, first of all. And even if they were sex workers, how does that prioritize someone's bad day over people's lives? And I just keep thinking, I'm very lucky to live where I live in Los Angeles. I work in Little Tokyo. I work for East West Players, which is the largest and longest running Asian American theater in the nation, and also the longest running theater of color in the nation. And it is something that I have always taken great pride over, the grind of nonprofit work, because we're telling stories and we're bringing people into the narrative that are not in our narrative, because with the narratives that exist and continue to perpetuate, even from sheriff's offices, is questionable and limited and dehumanizing. And this is why what we're doing here with Geekish Network is important. We're concentrating on geek and pop culture from a diverse and open lens, or welcoming lens. And it's why I love working in Little Tokyo. This is another thing too that I have been thinking about in terms of what it means to work in a Little Tokyo. It's like one of 3 remaining Japan towns in the nation. And, people don't really think about the fact that Chinatowns and Japantowns and Thai towns and Koreatowns, they weren't there so you knew where to find a massage parlor. They weren't there so you knew where to find a freaking restaurant or get your pad CU. These were safe spaces. These were neighborhood watch communities. These are communities that have been attacked and felt attacked and felt backed into a corner for 200 years, since the Chinese Exclusion Act, since it turned into the Asian Americans or Asian Exclusion Act. Asian Americans were not allowed to apply for, or Asians were not allowed to apply for citizenship until 1965. That's not that long ago, right? And of course, I put this into the context of the last summer, of Black Lives Matter, and all of these narratives that wedge us. And I really hope everyone out there, everyone listening, and everyone who engages with us, obviously you're here looking for this alternate perspective. And I hope you are out there sharing. I hope you're sharing the stories that include us. I hope we are rewriting these narratives that allow people to be apologized for by sheriffs. But yes, that's my rant. And thank you for indulging me on that. I promise we'll go back to more fun stuff. But that said, the Geekish Network has decided to run a charity campaign for the rest of March. We're hoping to raise funds for awareness and to combat the rise in Asian American hate and violence towards the Asian community during the pandemic. Please consider donating to the cause. I believe we'll put this link in the chat, but it's https://tiltify.com @pangeekery /TGN- stop AAPI hate. So you can find that in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you. I know we try to keep it really light and have this be a little bit of an escape, but these things are they're so important to talk about, and it's just another example of why representation matters, because the more you see everybody, the less mysterious it is, less stigmatized it is. It's so important. So
I agree.
This may be a decompression space, but a really important part of decompression is letting it out. So, yeah, it is really important to what we talk about here, I think, especially here, that this is Star Wars becoming more and more galaxy for everybody, as it should be.
I believe so. Well, thank you. But now let's get into the show. So we have our guest today. We're all very excited. Tracy, would you like to do the honors?
I would love to. I'm so excited. Lauren Mary Kim is the faceless action hero that brings adrenaline to films, television, and video games. As a child, she trained in acrobatics and dance, girl after my own heart, and originally moved to Los Angeles to become a dancer, where she landed her first job as a Laker girl. Soon after, she trained in acting, martial arts, and stunt work. She is best known for her work on The Mandalorian, Clone Wars Season 7, Furious 7, The Last of Us 2, Mortal Kombat 11, and doubled as Elektra on Netflix's hit series Daredevil and Defenders. Let's roll a clip. Or did we already roll it? We're going to roll it?
Rolling the clip. Rolling the clip.
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you?
All right.
Yay!
Thank you. Welcome, Lauren.
Hi, thanks for having me.
So, Lauren, we heard that you actually started out as a dancer. What styles of dance did you do?
Oh man, I trained in everything as a kid. I did tap, ballet, lyrical, jazz, hip hop, you name it. I did it, and I competed as a child. I'm so happy I was able to do that as a child because it like was a big foundation for a lot of things in my life.
Nice. I'm so glad that you said tap because I was my senior year of high school. I was a tapper of the year in North County, San Diego.
Wow.
So it was the Lakers that brought you to LA?
Well, that was just the first job I auditioned for, and I luckily got it. It was such an amazing experience. It's such a great franchise, you know. It was just like a sorority, joining a sorority pretty much.
It's insanely competitive, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. But once you're in, like, everyone's really cool and it's not so competitive after that. But yeah, to get in, it was like, I think like a 2-day audition.
Wow.
Wait, so how long were? Oh, go ahead.
Sorry, and that was your first audition, you said?
Yeah, in LA. Yeah.
Nailed it. Nailed the LA thing.
Was that your goal to be a dancer, or did you want to do acting, or all of it?
I wanted to be a dancer. That was like my main goal. Like I wanted to be a professional dancer, go on tours, do music videos. I didn't even know about stunt work. I didn't even think about acting. I was just, going to school and, I didn't really think ahead of that. Like I just thought dancing was the way, but.
So how did you transition to like martial arts training?
So I did acrobatics as a kid. I did that competitively as a kid. So then I was like, I want to get back into it. So I took a tumbling class, like an adult gymnastic class. And that's where I met a bunch of stunt guys. And they started training me in kicks first. And they just introduced me to like the martial art world and stunt world. And I fell in love with it. I just felt like it was just, I don't know, it was freeing. And I just felt more like me. And I just started taking I got my black belt in Taekwondo right after that, and I trained.
Was that your first style, Taekwondo, or? Yeah,
that was my first style. And then I moved on to Wushu because that's like the closest to dance, and it's a lot different than Taekwondo. Wushu is like a Chinese martial arts, more dancey, more forms.
And more acrobatics.
Yeah, exactly.
So this is something, I mean, I just find it really interesting, right? So I'm also a martial artist, did, Tang Soo Do, Ernest de Mano, Chinese Shaolin, a little bit of fencing, a little bit of boxing. But I always like this. I've done shows where I've had to take on dance choreography, but my movement vocabulary is just so different. How did you was it like, did your dance training lead you to just kind of adapt to the vocabulary of martial arts very easily? I mean, these are all very different styles for that matter too.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely takes time to look like a martial artist. As a dancer, I think I was probably really delicate and too light, and not, bringing a lot of power to the movements. But then you like anything, you learn and you just have to adapt to a certain style.
So what would you say is your base style now? Like as time went on, like did you stick into Wushu? Did you obviously you got into Eskrima a bit?
Yeah, so of course I just wanted to learn more. So I started training at Inosanto Academy. Guru Dan is our instructor. He is like, he's like a legend. He was best friends with Bruce Lee back in the day and trained with him. So I trained in JKD, Muay Thai, Filipino martial arts, which is a stick fighting, Silat, which is an Indonesian martial art, And then, I still train that to this day. And I'm like just obsessed with all those styles because there's so many styles at that school. And then I also do capoeira. That's another like dancey kind of art, but it's like super fierce and like super physically draining. But I would say like all the Inosanto stuff is probably like what I train the most still.
So let me ask you this. Did you just figure you were learning martial arts, just as to add to your movement vocabulary, or did you know that you were headed towards stunts?
At the time it was like helping my stunt career because I do a lot of fight scenes. A lot of Asian roles do call for martial arts. That's another stereotype that we have. But it's a good one because I enjoy it. And, but then after a while, I just loved it. And I just wanted to train more for myself than anything. Like it's just something I enjoy. It became like my number one hobby pretty much. What
was the first stunt job that you got?
Oh, man. It was like some like Nickelodeon show that no one's probably heard of. It's called Ned's Declassified. It was super old. And Fred Savage was the director. And I got to do a bunch of like tumbling passes down like a hallway. And that was my first job. And I was only there for like an hour. I'm like, oh, wow, this is easy. But no, it's not as easy as that normally. I just got lucky on my first job.
That's awesome.
I got to meet him at a convention once. He was so nice, Fred Savage.
Yeah, he's so nice.
Like for a child actor, he's so down to earth. I don't know.
Yeah, what happened? I was kidding.
So obviously your specialty being different combat styles, but what other stunt skills have you ended up picking up along the way in terms of...
So along the way, man, like every job has been different. Like when I was on The Last Airbender, they were like, okay, you guys have to learn aerial and you have to learn how to do the tissue, work. And so, we had to learn that on the job. And I was like enamored by it. So I started training in tissue for like many years and I don't train it anymore, but because I heard you're a circus performer, right?
I specialize with Lyra.
Oh, wow.
The aerial hoop.
So you're a spinner.
Yeah, I do. The silks requires more raw strength, but the Lyra requires more pain tolerance because it's just a steel bar. And I used to do an act that was a pyramid, and it was me and another girl, and it was like spinning, a lot of spinning, and like the first sessions, I think I was so nauseous because it's like a different skill, like just spinning. It's no joke. Like aerial artists are like top athletes, in my opinion. They're so ridiculous.
It's not like you can spot like when you're pirouetting.
No,
like completely different.
Right. Yeah. So I mean, every job has been totally different. So I was able to learn like tissue for that job. And then I learned tricking, which is like martial art, like flips pretty much, which is like B-twists and like rise double legs. So I got to learn some like tricking skills, some car stuff. We've been taking some car lessons.
Precision driving or?
Like driving or flipping over them?
In what? Valid question though.
Or both.
Yeah.
or landing on them,
Yeah, all of that. Or hitting into them.
Surfing them.
And then a lot of jobs I do is a lot of wire work. So that's like a whole nother skill in itself, is just like riding wires and like crashing and, like learning how to manipulate your body to, do wire work. So that's one of the main skills I've learned on the job.
Now, one of your stunts in the reel was you and another girl. I think it was on Stargirl, maybe not, but you guys are just kind of jumping at each other. And in another video, you're talking about how that has some of the most rigging of any other stunts, even though it looks pretty simple. There's actually like 10 wires or something.
Yeah, there's like, I think if you saw the behind the scenes footage, I think I posted it. You see like 10 riggers in the background, like pulling us. And so it's just amazing, like what what we're able to do to fly people, and like, you know, it's like they're like wire engineers, they're like stunt engineers in a way. They're just so like good at their job, and like it's just an amazing profession, I think.
I have so much appreciation for riggers, like literal lifesavers.
They're like the people who pack your parachute.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're the backbone to our safety for sure.
So when you're in the rig, I mean, how much would you say you're just kind of letting the rig carry you versus you having to kind of, or is it different for every stunt, basically?
Honestly, it's different for every gag. Like, you know, sometimes like you need the wire to do a lot of the work, and then sometimes you need to manipulate your body. Like, I had to do like a half wrap, which is like when the wire is wrapped around you and then it twists you out. But like I have to fight the wire so I can get enough height. So you have to fight the wire in order to get higher. Otherwise, you just get pulled into like getting wrapped out, unwrap and wrap. Yeah, getting in. So the whole goal was for me to be wrapped and then like get enough height. So fighting the wire and then like getting enough height. And then at the apex, that's when I would turn and then like hitting on top of a car, stuff like that. So it's just like different thing. You know, every gag is completely different.
Yeah.
And just like a personal like question, curiosity for somebody who's done a little bit of like harness work. Do you most commonly use like 2 points or 3? Like how many points do they usually rig you up by for things? I know it depends on the trick, but what do you use the most?
There are times where I've had like 6 to 8 different points on me because one thing's doing one thing and another thing's doing something else, and different parts of the rig. If it's like a 2-part series rig where like there's this one gag where I run and then I tap off like horizontally onto a wall. And so one part of the rig was just for the front part of it. And then the second part was another set of riggers that carried me out through the second half where I had to like push kick a girl into a chest, and I had to have a hill so that I didn't like annihilate her chest. So it stopped me at a certain point. So it would be safe for her to be at a certain point so she could just stand there and get hit by me by a double push kick. So yeah, I mean, there's something, it's like the way they think about things is like, it's just so, you know, extensive. It's just like literally engineering.
From the sound of it, even if you've got your wires doing a lot of lifting, you're still, there's a lot of engagement from different muscle groups to kind of there constantly. It's one of the like aerial.
Yeah, you have to manipulate your own body to do what you want it to do. Yeah,
it's incredible. I've mad respect. All I've ever done is 2-point bungee work, and that wore me out. Like I was so done after an hour class. I was like, "Excuse me." I was like, "Oh no." Did I get any good footage? Nope, that's okay.
Oh,
what I did it for, you know, I was like, oh, can I see myself to improve for next time? Oh no, I'm half out of the frame. But I mean, working on anything like that, like there's just so many, there's so many factors to think of.
Yeah, for sure.
And I would imagine even after all the years that you've been doing this, because you've been doing this for going on 20 years, right?
Almost, about 16, 17 years now.
And I imagine on every single job, you find muscles you didn't know you had that become sore.
Yeah, exactly. And then new bruises. You always get new bruises and like some ailment. Like it's different every week. My chiropractor.
Do you buy arnica cream in bulk?
Oh yeah, I have a big tube in my bathroom right now.
I'm just klutzy, so I feel like I should own stock in it, but I'm not. Nobody is. Hopefully, nobody is witnessing my accident.
So we already talked a bit about you knowing and practicing a lot of being a practitioner of a lot of different combat styles. Could we talk a little bit about some of like how you combine that with acting choices? Because you do play some really, you have done mocap and reference work for some really well-known characters and doubled for some very well-known characters. So does your process change at all? And what's that like when you're working with a character who's got physicality that is very well known?
Yeah, I always research before I go into rehearsals because I always want to understand the character. It's just kind of like a backstory thing I like to know, what their styles are, like who they are, what their age range are, what they've been through in their life. Like that helps like with your movement. It's like physical acting pretty much. So I obviously, I think you guys know I did the motion capture for Ahsoka. So I looked her up. Obviously, I watched some of her stuff from Clone Wars. I was really nervous to portray her because, she's such an iconic character. I didn't want to mess it up and make Star Wars fans like hate me. But yeah, like so all of that I took in account, and I definitely Dave Filoni helped me a lot because he like birthed her pretty much. So, yeah, it was just a really fun experience for me. It was just one of those bucket list jobs. And to work with Ray Park was like, just, man, it was just crazy. It was just, he's legendary. So it was just kind of, I was so nervous to meet him.
Is he married? Asking for a friend.
Yes. And his wife is a sweetheart.
So you bring this up. I have to ask, right? So I also do a little bit of choreography, mostly for stage. Okay. So in terms of doing the research, right? Like everything that had been done with Ahsoka up to this point was animated, right? And the way a lot of the fights were staged, it was very comic book panel, right? There was a lot of deep rooted stances, and it's all very kind of grounded, but like the saber strikes were all kind of moving from a point of deep stance grounding. Did you that's very much like a panel to panel, like posing, right? Mm-hmm. How did you kind of decide to interpret that to something that is actually doable by a live human?
Yeah. I did want to do the level changes. That's why I added like the knee spin. Right. Obviously I can't be like, she's an alien, right?
Right.
I know, with legs this long.
Right. I'm not an alien, so I don't have the same abilities like as she does. But she can jump from like a freaking spacecraft to like 100,000 feet down to like to like another spaceship. So like, yeah, I can't do that. But yeah, I tried to do what I could do.
You can with the right riggers.
Right. True, which we didn't have rigging on the stage at Lucasfilm, but yeah, I tried to make it as level changes as much as I could, and the animators obviously helped with certain stuff. Like I think she did like a backflip over him or at one point or something like that, and obviously I can't backflip over someone, but yeah, it was just a challenge just to portray her. So I just tried to make her movements as like spruce, or is that even a word? Spruce, like very
sprightly.
Yeah, very sprites and interesting and intricate. And I tried to, Dave really wanted to do the reverse grip on, one of the takes. So I did like a switch. So I tried to pay homage to like her style too. So, it was fun. And then I added like, like a rise. I did like a Sailor Moon sidekick, which is one of my favorite, which is like an acrobatic move. So, yeah.
And it shows. Honestly, like when I first saw the episode, one, it was like, seeing Ray Park's physicality was unmistakable, right? He is so... and particularly comparing it to like the animated episodes, it's like he is so light on his feet. He is just quick. And so, what was that process like? Is it like you have an idea, Ray has an idea, the animator has an idea, and you kind of just mesh, or like?
So me and Ray actually had 2 days to choreograph our fight, and I choreographed my side and he choreographed his side. And I remember the first time he's like, what if I did this? And he went he did like some flowers and like coming at me, and I was like, whoa. Okay. Can you slow down? Because I have to figure out my side, because he like, he's been doing Darth Maul for like years. So I was like, and first of all, he has so much energy. Like, did you drink coffee? Like 10 coffees today? But he's like, no, I mean, it's just like, he has like endless energy, that guy. Like, it's insane. I was like, wow, like I need to keep up with him.
I don't understand people like that.
I don't know either. I don't know how he does it. And he's like nonstop. Like, he'll be in his sauna doing like workouts in his sauna, and like his Instagram, he's always training and doing flips. Like, oh my God, he's like nonstop.
Definitely not made from the same ingredients.
So clearly, you were drawing from a lot from Eskrima and Kali for the dual blade stuff, right? But I'm just curious, right? So I'm so curious about kind of how you interpreted the inverted grip, right? Because the inverted grip is iconic. It looks cool. But as a fighter, I'm like,
This is Andy's most important question. This is the question he's been really wanting to ask.
I've always been curious because, I mean, it is a thing where I'm like, I don't know how this makes sense. You don't have a full extension, right? It makes sense defensively, but it's only useful really defensively. Like, how did you kind of like work out a logic for it? Because it does look great.
Well, when we train at Inosanto, he does make us do reverse grip weapons, like with knives, with sticks, and then he'll make us do drills with it. So it was a little more comfortable for me because I had that background already.
So it's more like treating it like a dagger then, basically.
We had more time.
A dagger, or even like a stick, even, because sometimes we'll hold our Akali stick reverse grip sometimes. And sometimes we'll do both of them like that, and we'll like extend it. And then you can also like, stab at people like that too.
Right on. Well, thank you for indulging me on that.
Don't you have, because I remember my stepdad did martial arts and taught martial arts. And I remember him talking about the dagger and the reverse grip, and that you can get a better, like more force behind your stab. He was like, never hold a knife like this. No matter what you do, don't hold a knife like this. They're just going to knock it out of your hand. But if you're holding it like this, then they can't get it out of your hand.
Yeah. I mean, they're all like great points. Like you do have a strong grip like this. And I don't know, it's unexpected. Like for an opponent, it can be very unexpected too, I think. Mm-hmm. They're probably so used to a traditional, like handhold. But I think it's the element of surprise too. Because you can they may not see it coming at you, and then all of a sudden you're striking at someone.
Yeah, in my head, I was like, the only thing I could think of that, I mean, you're right. Actually, like if I think of it like a dagger, that actually makes a lot of sense. It's just like, it's that extended long blade. It's like the closest thing I can think of is like a tonfa, but like a tonfa is still very different. But yeah. Okay, I'm sorry.
I always have you ever seen the girls in Russia in like traditional dress who also have the sticks that they are, it's sword. I think it's swords, but it's a very like flippy thing. And with Ahsoka a little bit, I always felt like they even had a little bit of that because she's got, I don't know. It seemed, I don't know as much about martial arts, but it seemed to me like she's a kind of a combination of styles. And whenever she does like the flippy things, I always think of those girls in Russia. I don't know if anybody knows what I'm talking about. If anybody knows what I'm talking about, but
we're talking about one of my friends that's like her heritage, and she posted some video about it a long time ago. But yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Okay, because my heritage is doing step dancing, so and drinking. Like that's what we do.
Very cool. I mean, that said, so wait, so then did you also worked on some of the fight with Ahsoka and Morgan Elsbeth, right?
Yeah, I doubled Diana Lee in Asanto, which is like, super cool because
Martial arts royalty.
martial arts royalty. I bow to her. Yeah, I mean, Diana Lee is like an icon in the martial art world. She's Dan Inosanto's daughter, of course. She specializes in Filipino martial arts. So yeah, it was just a really cool experience to like get to fight Ahsoka, I mean, of course I wanted to play her, to double her, but I'm too short to double Rosario. So I was like, but it's okay.
Did you end up like kind of collaborating on the choreography then as well? I mean, since you had previously established some of the movement or style or with her at all, or?
No, they already choreographed that fight before I came in. And so, yeah. So, Ryan Watson is the fight coordinator and stunt coordinator for Mandalorian. And he has actual background in Cali as well. So he helped design it with a couple of the stunt guys. But yeah, they did such an amazing job.
So you had a number of pretty iconic moments. Of course, like the first season, you were the Mandalorian armorer. You also did a stunt this past season for Sasha Banks for Mercedes, right?
Yeah, I also doubled Mercedes. Yeah, that was pretty cool as well. I mean, Star Wars cast like badass women just to like as the roles anyway. So like. I think I said this in another interview, but like, I'm just so thankful that Star Wars actually hires like women that are strong looking in real life too. Like not just like physically, but like, they're badass women in real life. They're not like hiring, supermodels that are like, that weigh like 85 pounds. So yeah, I applaud them for that.
So, I mean, did you end up having to kind of collaborate with her at all in terms of her specific? I mean, because I know she some of the wrestling moves were kind of snuck in a little bit, right? I mean, were you having to kind of learn those moves, or were those things that she would handle those moves and you would handle other stuff? Or
well, we held like concept stuff, and in rehearsals, we were like literally looking up her videos on YouTube, like what moves does she do? And then there was a couple that were like, that she was known for, and we were trying to find places to put them, to pay homage to her, wrestling background. And there's that one scene where she's in the restaurant, and Mando comes up, and then she fights Boba Fett.
Boba Fett. Right.
And there's a scene where she taps off the wall and does like a takedown. She actually did that one because that's like actually one of her moves.
That's the tornado DDT or
yeah. So she like annihilated that scene. Like she did such a good job. Yeah. Yeah. And when she's wearing a helmet, I did a lot of her stuff because sometimes she was like doing her WWE fights on the weekends, or she would like have to fly out. Yeah, so she was like shooting Mandalorian and her WWE.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah, so she just had a packed schedule.
And so this is pre-pandemic too. So she was on tour. It's not like she was just headed back to Orlando.
Yeah,
God.
She was all over the place. Yeah.
So I understand you also did the iconic Robert Rodriguez jumping while shooting bit.
Oh, the Fennec Shan jump.
Yeah.
Which is such a beautiful shot. I mean, kudos to that. Actually, you know what? Here's another question. Fighting with armor and or helmets. That's got to be like the bane of your guys' existence, right? I mean, just in terms of visibility alone.
Yeah, it is. It's like a whole nother thing to deal with. And I mean, I actually did Power Rangers for many years. I did like a lot of live shows and promos, commercials, photo shoots. So I luckily had that experience with helmet work already. So it was like a lot easier for me to like, do fight scenes as like the armor or, as Koska Reeves. But yeah, helmet breathing is like a whole nother skill. You can't mouth breathe. Like I've learned you don't mouth breathe in there. You nose breathe so you get more oxygen.
Wow.
And then you're not making your helmet smell bad if you have bad breath.
That's I mean,
so you're in those fight scenes though, and you're having to breathe through your nose.
Also less moist. At least
Exactly. Less noise.
From like my fencing house, I used to do that.
And cosplayers, here's a little trick if you didn't know this already. Line the inside of your helmet with a thin film of shampoo, and that'll help defogging.
Oh.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah. So that's what I do when I have like any helmet work.
Actually, that's actually just even useful for trying to do workouts in pandemic with a mask anyway. So.
Right. I mean, at least we're not wearing helmets. Don't make us wear helmets. So
yes.
I don't know if you want to shampoo the inside of your pandemic.
Not the shampoo part, but yeah.
Yes.
You probably don't want to shampoo your mask. No, definitely don't.
Yeah. Unless you really have bad breath. All the anti-maskers, I always just tell them, you should just brush your teeth. Like that'll honestly make it just so much better. Just brush your teeth before you leave the house.
Yeah.
Right on.
So you've done a lot of mocap for video games as well, which of course we just saw in your reel here. How is that process different than film or television, or even doing stage stuff as a Power Ranger?
So mocap is definitely different. We don't have a set. We don't have wardrobe. We have no makeup. We have no hair. We have nothing. So you literally have a room with like a million cameras surrounding you, and you have to just imagine everything. So that's where I have like the most fun though, because I go for it. Like if I am like, you know, a certain character, like I really like embody them, and I try to like breathe like them, walk like them, talk like them, yell like them. And I'm a big yeller when I do fight choreography. So like I'm constantly making noises and stuff. So yeah, you really have to just vision the character and have absolutely no inhibitions. Like I just don't care what people think of me, because yeah, like I literally am like looking crazy. Like if you didn't know what I was doing, you probably think I was like a psycho like person on the street. But like, yeah, I go for it. Like if I'm like a bear, I will like crawl and like snarl like a bear. Like if I'm like
you've done animals as well as characters.
I have actually played, I think, was it Last of Us 2? I think I played a dog because they just needed like a reference.
It sounds like when you go to improv class and they tell you to be a tree.
You're saying this and it just made me think so much of all of the like movement theater and like tumbling and clown and like direction for that I've done. And it's like basically, you know, if you're not like a little uncomfortable out of your comfort zone and thinking, man, I look like kind of a fucking fool, then you're not doing it right.
Right, exactly.
I mean, at that point, you're in spandex and you have ping pong balls on you. So what does it matter?
See, and Andy doesn't understand this, but the not doing hair and makeup, that just sounds so amazing to me.
So that's before quarantine. I actually had been talking to a couple of acquaintances who do mocap, and they'd sent me a couple of classes, and I was like, oh, I'm so excited. Like the circus kid in me was like, I'm going to be a creature. And then like COVID. So I was very excited when I found out that you were going to be on and saw your mocap credits. I was like, this is incredible.
Oh, thank you.
Have you done it with the head rig, the performance capture?
I have. Yeah, so they basically have this giant apparatus on your head, and then they have this camera that is like literally just staring at you straight in the face. I do not look attractive in it at all. Like when I look at the playback camera, I'm like, oh my God, I look like that. Like, oh my God. Like it's just not attractive at all.
We actually have a number of friends who actually a lot of people we know who were on Ghost of Tsushima, but that was really interesting kind of talking to them about that, because it was the performance capture stuff they did for that was extensive, to the point that they did casts, they did like I mean it's all like their faces in these characters.
Are you having to do flips in that thing though?
Oh no, they don't make us do like the crazy stuff in that. It's mainly more so they can have a reference of like what your face does during certain movements and stuff. Or like with actors, they want to see how their mouths move.
All the little dots.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So Ian1138 wants to know if you worked on the YouTube Power Ranger short.
No, I did not.
That was it was his own little fan film, right? One of the guys who played it.
Yeah, that was not.
I don't think that was an official Power Ranger film.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. But it did have the real Red Ranger, I think, if I remember correctly. It was dark.
Like a million of them.
I know. I got saved in a bar by a bunch of Power Rangers from a guy who wanted to hit on me once.
And then did they hit on you after that?
No, they were sweet. They were super sweet. They came in and swooped in and protected me. It was really awesome.
Were they wearing their costumes too?
No.
That would be awesome.
I don't think they knew that it was Power Rangers coming to rescue me.
Excuse me, sir. It's morphin' time.
Oh my God, that would be so amazing if they'd said that, but they did not. They just sort of like swooped me away. Like, oh, come talk to us over here. And I was like, thank you.
Morphin' time.
Yep, that was at C4 in Ventura for anybody who's wondering. Anyways, I digress.
So we've talked about all the Star Wars work. What was that like kind of coming into Star? I mean, like, were you a big Star Wars fan before all this happened, or?
Yeah, I was definitely, but I'm more so now, actually. Interacting with the fans, on Instagram and I talk to a lot of them. They're so like grateful for, like, it's just amazing to feel appreciated by fans. Like, Star Wars fans are literally the most genuinely cool and kind people. Like, they're like a unity of people. Like, it's amazing. So, it's definitely like deep in my love for the franchise for sure. And then after Mandalorian, how can you not? Like, that's probably one of my favorite shows.
And you came to these shows. I mean, was it just because you had worked with the choreographer before, or like was it just the straight audition?
Oh, for Mandalorian?
Well, for both actually. I mean,
Mandalorian and Clone Wars.
And Clone Wars.
I was referred to Clone Wars by a friend, my friend Amy Johnston. She's another incredible martial artist. She referred me to Dave Filoni, and then from there, Dave Filoni obviously knew me from Clone Wars, so he's just like, yeah, bring on Lauren, because I already knew the stunt coordinator for Mandalorian. So it's all like, small world, right?
Right on.
Yeah.
And you'd mentioned that Dave Filoni was kind of walking you through some of the physicality for Ahsoka. How much input did you get from him, or really anybody else, when you're creating the different physicalities for the armor, Fennec Shand, Costco Reeves, and such?
Well, I don't get scripts or anything, so everything was explained to me verbally by like the stunt coordinator. And then, I was able to know the actors, so I researched them, and like I already worked with the Ming Na before. I doubled her a couple of times on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. And her normal stunt double wasn't available, so I was able to do that one episode for her. But yeah, I mean, I know what like how Ming Na likes to move. Like, I know she likes a certain walk. She isn't like girly. She likes to be like a strong woman. And like Sasha, I researched a lot of her stuff. And so I was able to try to manipulate, try to move like her. That's what I basically try to do. I move like them, but then also kind of have an understanding of the character as well. So I try to marry the two together.
And of course, you've worked with Diana before too, I assume, right?
Yeah, I mean, we come from the same school pretty much, so yeah.
I'd imagine it helps having that point of reference.
Yeah, for sure.
Tremendously.
Was she on the set when you were doubling for her, wondering like why you were stealing all of her moves?
Yeah, I was with her. I mean, she's such a soul. Like, there was no like competitiveness at all. Like, she's like my sister. Like, she's amazing.
I love that. Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So let's talk about some of your stuff outside of Star Wars. What was it like working as Elektra for Daredevil?
Man, I grew up watching like, the Ben Affleck Daredevil, and and then I also watched like Jennifer Garner, and like, I was a big fan of that movie. So yeah, I mean, I read a lot of the comic books. I read different storylines of those comic books. And then when I finally got to meet Elodie, she was just like, amazing. She was already a black belt in Taekwondo or karate, actually.
Oh, wow.
And yeah, so she had like a good understanding of fights already.
I didn't realize that, actually.
Yeah. And she moves really well. We would train together. And after a while, we were like, I can't tell if that is me or you on these playbacks. Like, it was pretty cool. Yeah. We were able to develop the character together. So that was like just really empowering as a stunt performer to be able to have, that opportunity, and help come up with some of the moves. So it was just a really fun project, but like also just rewarding because all the fights we got to do, like it as a martial artist, it's a dream to be able to do all these cool fights.
And in that situation, like, you basically both learn the same fight, right? Like you're just there on standby. I'll take this when you take the other one type of thing, or is it like?
Yeah, I mean, sometimes we didn't have time to shoot because TV shoots a lot different than movie.
Right.
So we have a lot less time. So sometimes there would be sections where I would just do it from a wide angle or, certain like abstract angles. And then there would be sections of the choreo where it's just her doing her section because, they're really good close-ups on her or like 3/4 shots of her. And she moves really well. So they were able to capture her a lot as well. So it was a good marriage between the two of us, literally like 50-50.
That's awesome. I love you. I love your scene. You're Tigress, right? In Stargirl, you're the stunt double for her. The scene where you are going up the wall and having to backflip off the wall, and how there's that one little brick sticking out a little bit, so you have just that little bit of oomph.
That was actually the other cat character.
Oh, was that not Tigress? Oh, well, which one was that?
That was played by, that was me, but it was, oh my God, I'm like blanking out on the name. Is it Hellcat? Oh, it's the other cat. Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha. Because you also double for Tigress too, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And Shiv. Yeah. But there was another stunt double that came in to double the purple cat. Kira O'Connor, she doubled her after that because I couldn't double 3 characters at the same time. It was crazy. But yeah, I was able to double Shiv and Tigress were my main actors on that show.
That is so much fun. That was a situation. I'm thinking back on some of the videos I watched, and that was a situation where you had multiple riggings that had to pull you in different directions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Like the rigging on that show was like unreal. It felt like a feature film. Like the action that we did on that was definitely like next level.
So just really quickly, I want to just thank Nefarious for bringing in a bunch of folks or rating us, rather. Thank you. Just want to really quickly, we are talking to Lauren Mary Kim, who is the stunt performer from a number of different shows. We were just talking about some of her work on Elektra, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Stargirl, but of course, for the relevance for this show, she does a lot of stunts for The Mandalorian and was also the double or the mocap reference for Ahsoka in season 7 of Clone Wars. But another thing that you worked on recently was Raya and the Last Dragon. Can you talk about what that process was like?
Yeah, I was hired by the stunt coordinator, Maggie McDonald, who, by the way, is an incredible performer. She did a lot of the motion capture for Last of Us 2. She's really big in the mocap world. So she hired me and Ryan Gray and Amy Johnston to be fight consultants. Since my background was in Silat, Filipino, and a little bit of Muay Thai, she wanted me to add those elements into some of the fights. And so basically, we were just making up vignettes of fights for different characters for the animators to basically get an idea of how these characters should move and how different the characters should move from each other, since they're from different, clans. But yeah, they were able to interpret everything from our movements. But it was not, I don't think it was mocap because I wasn't there on the official day of shooting.
Oh, okay.
I was just there to help choreograph some of the fights.
And so you guys were mostly working on the stuff with Numari and with Raya then? Or was it some of the other characters as well?
Oh, well, I did the Numari. Oh my God, I can't. Numari. Numari, thank you.
Yeah.
Numari versus Raya. And Numara. She had more of like a grounded, like Muay Thai style. So I don't know if you saw in the animation, but her stance was more clear. And so we like showed that to the animators and stuff.
I know I have a lot of Filipino friends who were very excited when the trailer dropped, and like there was very recognizable Filipino martial arts, obviously weapons, but movement as well. And I know that got a lot of people very excited. But actually,
because representation matters.
Yes.
Exactly.
Did you at all actually work with Qui Win, with the screenwriter as well? Because he also is a pretty accomplished fight choreographer in his own right.
No, I never got to meet anyone actually.
Wow.
I met no one on that show. I mean, I was just mainly with our stunt bubble people.
Right on. And they just basically filmed reference and just kind of sent it off to the animators.
Yeah.
But was that also during quarantine as well, or was that before?
It was right before, like
wow.
I think January, February, before everything shut down. Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize they were that tight, honestly. Jeez.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so we were able to do rehearsals normally without a mask because it was like only February at that point.
And you're in Thailand right now, about to start a project, and your quarantine is finished as of today. Is that right?
Yeah, today's my last day, and I'm free tomorrow, and I'm excited to shoot this project because I can't really divulge too much information. It's definitely representing like some untouched market. Let's just say that.
Oh, nice.
Excellent.
Was it a 2-week or 10-day quarantine? How long did they have you sit for?
14 days.
14 days. Okay.
So you're ready to leave your.
Yeah, definitely.
Did you do it on the way out too?
What was that?
Do you have to quarantine on the way out as well?
No. Mm-mm.
Okay.
Unless they change something, but hopefully not.
Just when you get home, you have to quarantine in your own home for 14.
Probably. Yeah. But the numbers here are way lower than in like America. So.
Well, people are better about wearing that's just what you do when you even are not feeling well, right? You wear a mask. It makes so much sense.
Yeah.
I'm hoping the US will adopt that practice. It won't. But.
That might be a good idea.
It would be a good idea.
So okay, obviously, so you're about to go into this project. Like, what is your training regimen like outside of a production?
Well, during quarantine, I have like my own little list of things I want to do. So like I have a spin bike in the background, and I've been doing the Peloton app with that. Every other day I do plyometrics. I've been doing like these workouts from Allo Moves. I've been doing XTMA, like Kali training and kickboxing. So yeah, I'm just trying to keep sane and fit for now because I'm eating so much.
I don't blame you. Thai food is amazing. So as far as you've portrayed a lot of heroes, who are some of your heroes in your field in the stunt community, especially as your female stunt performers that you look up to? Scarlett
Johansson's stunt double, Heidi Moneymaker. She's an incredible performer and person. A lot of us people look up to her, and she's a strong female. Monique Ganderton, she was one of Charlize Theron's doubles for Atomic Blonde, and now she's coordinating. She was one of the coordinators for Avengers, and she's coordinating. She coordinated Loki, which is going to be coming out soon. So it's really cool to see female stunt coordinators. And then another one, Zoe Bell. I mean, she's a badass. She's an Australian stunt woman. She was one of the coordinators for Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. She was the Uma Thurman double for Kill Bill. So she she's a badass. So, and all these women are becoming like coordinators now, which I think is incredible to have that representation in a male dominated industry. It has been proven that when you put women in leadership positions, it does help to elevate more women. So, very important on that level. Do you have any advice for anybody who's an aspiring stunt person or mocap performer? Yeah, I think training is like the foundation. Train in anything that you love, train in things that make you uncomfortable. I think sending your stuff out to coordinators, whether it be from shooting content for your social media. People do look at social media pages to see what kind of content they have. Try shooting your own fight scenes and editing them. And at the end of the day, like, just be a good person, because people just want to hire people that are just, have a good head on their shoulders. It's not about stepping all over other people to get jobs, because, that's not going to, that's just not the way. It's not the way. So, yeah. And just being humble, and always have an open heart to learn more. Always.
So I think we're just about at the end of our time. But that said, talking about shooting your own stuff, you have a lot of great content on your YouTube channel. Can you tell all of our audience here where they can find you and where they can look up some of your other stuff? Yeah.
You can follow me on my YouTube channel, Lauren Mary Kim, and my Instagram, also Lauren Mary Kim. And I post a lot of behind the scenes footage. I create a lot of my own content for my own creativity and sanity. So I have a Kali Diaries that I have on my YouTube channel, which basically is just a diary entry of my progression into the Kali arts. So yeah, definitely check that out.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much. Thank you so much for joining us here today, talking Star Wars with us and talking shop and fights and dance and so many other things. Is there anything else you'd like to leave us with?
No, I mean, thank you for, listening and hearing my story. And thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. Well, hopefully we look forward to seeing and hearing more about these other projects coming up. And we'll hopefully we'll bring you back again after we can talk about things again.
Great. Awesome.
And take her advice on how to become a stunt performer and just apply it to your life, because that's good, just general life advice. I think if everybody was approaching things from the perspective of humility and an open heart and just being a kind, good person, we would be such a much better position.
Yeah, especially nowadays. Like, we just have to, have compassion and, fill this whole planet with like healing energy, right?
Absolutely.
So say we all.
So important to be the kind of person that you want to work with.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, with that said, let's move on to our next part.
Thank you so much for joining us. Sorry. That was so exciting.
It's been really, really amazing to talk to you.
Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you, Andy. I just had to throw out that gratitude, that little love bomb. I can't even talk.
All right, so we are actually, so of course, Pod Squadron podcast is part of the Geekish Network, and this is a brand new network. We are, to celebrate that new network, we are looking to honor the podcast that started it all, and we are giving away a PC, and we have 2 weeks left to enter this drawing. This is courtesy of our good friend of the network, at JeremyGerm33 on Instagram and Twitch. He does custom workstations or gaming PCs that won't break the bank unless you want it to. And you can set your budget. He'll work around it. Premium parts with your personal flair, serving the greater LA County for 20 years of experience. If you're in the market for a PC, hit him up at JeremyGerm33 on Instagram and also on Twitch. There will be a link in the chat. Look for that link and you can go ahead and make your entry to get this awesome custom PC workstation. And with that, also the link will be... Oh, no, I already said that. So the links are there. So thank you very much. We are going to move on. And for Clem,
Are you still flustered and a little Twitter-pated, Andy?
Little professional crush is always there.
I am.
So what are your guys' takeaway?
I have a crush.
Takeaway now that we've talked to Lauren Mary Kim?
What a powerhouse. Seriously. Just
Seriously.
Yeah.
I mean, it is honestly impressive to look at her resume and look at her body of work and everything that she's accomplished. I mean, I mean, she's done so much, and the work shows for it. And it is. I want to stress this: how hard it is to be a movement chameleon the way she is, right? Because it is so easy to kind of get, to build physical patterns. The fact that she can move so fluidly from dance to Chinese martial arts to Korean martial arts to Filipino martial arts and keep the integrity of each movement style is a testament to her discipline and her physical knowledge of herself.
Yeah. Oh, I want to be her friend. Lauren, come back. Can we be friends?
I know, Alexa, you need to pitch yourself as if you ever need more aerialists.
If you ever need a tap dancer.
But I need, for my own self, I really need to get conditioned before I'm like, oh man, talking to her really made me think about I need to get conditioned again so that I can, have any kind of reel for any kind of again. I miss it.
Yeah, I know. I also think about, I don't train regularly in martial arts anymore. I absolutely miss it. And actually, the last time I went down to San Diego, I actually spent a little time with my old Sifu, which was great to kind of reconnect with him a little bit. But
your pictures from your glory days of martial arts are intense.
I was intense. I was in my height.
Yeah.
In my height, I was training in martial arts at least 5 times a day or 5 days a week. Sorry. And it would be a 2-hour base workout, another hour of just messing around with my Kung Fu brother and my Sifu, just trying to figure out tricking. Basically, that was before tricking existed, but we were trying to figure out tricking moves back in those days. And then afterwards, I would go to the gym for another hour to do a little bit of weight training, and right. So it was a 4 or 5 hour commitment that I was doing. I also didn't have a life at the time, so I was just really but now I have COVID bods, so But with that, let's move on to our next segment. So for those of you who have been reading along with us, we have been digging deep into Star Wars: The High Republic, the first major book, which is Light of the Jedi by Charles Soule. And this is our breakdown of the third section, which is the last 10 chapters 36 through 44, and the end of the book. So this is Light of the Jedi, Part 3, The Storm.
I can cancel my premium Audible membership now.
Unless they sponsor us, in which case, we're going to hold on to it. No. Sponsor us, please. The Republic has mobilized in the aftermath of the disaster of Hetzel Prime. After stirring testimony from one of the young survivors on board the Legacy Run, coaxed by Jedi Padawan Buryaga, the Jedi have come to the sobering conclusion that the party at fault for the destruction of the transport ship is none other than the organization of raiders known as the Nihil. As both Nihil and the Republic alike race to stay ahead of the cataclysmic emergences of parts of the wreckage of the Legacy Run, the eye of the Nihil, Marchion Ro, has used his dark sources to identify opportunities for profit and cruelty. Nihil Tempest Runner Kassav attempts to extort credits from the planet Iriadu, offering to protect the planet from the impact for a price. But after a failed attempt to destroy a shard from the wreckage, causing unimaginable destruction, Kassav and the Storm escape with stolen credits and the vow for vengeance from the Iriaduans. Meanwhile, Tempest Runner Lorna D has engaged in battle with Republic Longbeams over a flight recorder containing evidence of the Nihil ship that collided with the Legacy Run. The stakes become more personal when Jedi Knight Teami is lost in the crossfire. And finally, on the planet Elfrona, Jedi Knight Loden Greatstorm continues his pursuit of another Nihil operation set to kidnap a family of pioneers. As paths collide and the sinister plans of Marchion Ro come to fruition, a greater shape to the events start to take form. As heroes face the trials of misfortune and villains find themselves pawned for causes unknown, chaos reigns, and it will lead all players on a collision course to conflict unlike the galaxy has seen in centuries.
Dun, dun, dun.
Yay, thank you so much for breaking down the whole section. Andy, your announcer voice is just so much perfect for it.
Why, thank you.
We need to have you record a thing for Rodney in case he ever does need to talk. So we can have the voice of Rod.
The voice of Rod, yes. I still really want like Star Wars crawl music running under me when I do these. It's like it just feels wrong.
I can sing it.
We'll do an octave.
There we go. Yes. We'll
Wait, was
that.
I may have just been singing the Star Trek theme. No.
Wrong franchise. No, you got it right. You got it right.
Yeah, Star Wars.
Yeah, that's Star Wars.
Okay, we're all good.
All right, Lexi.
Okay, so right now, let's see. Oh yeah, very interesting thing. Because I've been reading this whole book and I couldn't decide how to pronounce the main villain's name, and I've been seeing this whole debate online. And so I went down like a 30-minute rabbit hole and finally found Charles Soule himself says it's Marchion Ro.
Oh, Marchion Ro.
Yeah,
they mispronounce it in the book then. They definitely...
That's according to his Twitter. So I just found that out because I was like, I can't decide which pronunciation. I was reading, no shit, read through the whole book, switching every other time. You know, I can't decide. It's like I would read one chapter and read it one way in my head, and then I'd pick up the next chapter and I'd be like, who's this guy? Oh, the same guy. I'm just saying it different.
I mean, I will say Marchion has a more sinister or more militant sound to it because you got that soft palate, hard K sound. Marchion.
In the book on tape, they do say Marchion though, right?
He does say
it's not
Marchion.
just me. Yeah.
It says it, and it was very interesting because like in part of the Twitter thread where someone was like, in the book on tape, it says blah, blah, blah. But the author, and I'm like, all right. Author says, I go with the author.
Yeah. I just dated myself by saying book on tape instead of audiobook. Anyway, we're going to move on there.
Well, I think we all dated ourselves by not correcting you. Book on tape.
I will say that Marchion Ro in the audiobook sounds a lot like John Malkovich.
He does. It's, it's really interesting. Marchion, as we say now, Marchion Ro is very much written like kind of a Joker-esque sociopath, right? Which is such an interesting,
but contained.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I say a Joker like not like a Mark Hamill Joker, more of a Heath Ledger or even Snyder verse, kind of Hannibal Lecter sociopath, right?
Hannibal Lecter would be a good.
Yeah, the MO being the same, that want to watch the world burn kind of ethos.
It is interesting how this, we've come to the end of the book, and we still don't really know what his end game is.
Yeah, we don't. Although there is that tease that he does have a deeper connection to the Force.
Which tease? Because we're now in spoiler territory, so we can talk about it.
Yeah. So there's but I'm just talking about without getting bogged down into like the details of specific scenes and trying to pull quotes.
Fair.
But, there being different hints that he has besides the Mary Santeca, who he's got basically indentured, as his navigator. There's hints that he's using. Yeah, there's hints that he has a bigger, deeper end game. That might be. I don't know if it's religious for him. Or I don't know. He doesn't strike me as a very religious spirit. He doesn't strike me as a spiritual character.
Yeah, I mean, he definitely seems to be like a person driven by chaos, right? I mean,
he's a bit like the Master in Doctor Who, the Master or the Mistress in Doctor Who.
Ooh, very, very true. Like very much those kinds of vibes. Which would be not. But it's not like he's seeking power, right?
He's driven by revenge to a degree, but it's like a newly found revenge. And then instead of just like going out and he's been very calculating about it. So he's got that sociopathic streak where he is willing to take his time. He's willing to be nice to people to their faces. He's willing to, say, I'm going to save you, and then beam them into their deaths and stuff. I mean, yes, Paul, playing the long game. He's definitely into playing the long game.
But it'll be very interesting to see what his long game is, since it involves allowing this whole botched job to go off just for the sake of getting his hands on a Jedi Master.
Right. Right. And that's I'm so sad that Loden is his guinea pig now, because I love Loden. He's kind of one of my favorite characters in this, and his dynamic with Belle as well. So, and I'm sure that's on purpose. Obviously, like, we're gonna make you like this guy, so we're gonna mess with him.
They did that. Like I was expecting something a lot sooner, and that was a dirty trick of you, Charles Soule. I thought I was gonna get it. Damn, sir.
I have a little bit of a fictional character crush on Belle Zettifar.
Oh, yeah.
I can't decide whether my fictional crush on Elzar Mann or Avar Kriss is larger. I don't know. I'm like.
Or why not both?
Why not both?
They seem to have a thing. So
they seem to have a thing.
You're going like, in the corner. while they flirt with each other, I'm like, oh, yes, continue.
Yeah, they're very pretty, but you can have them, and I'll take Belle Zettifar.
so they also have a really interesting scene at the end of the book too, right? Like am I correct that they're walking? Are they walking hand in hand, or are they holding hands as they walk? Or are they? I don't remember
specifically if they were holding hands, but I don't need for them to know that there is something in there.
I think she holds out her hand for him to take at one point, but they're not holding hands. It's more like like one step above a handshake sort of. Well, no, it's not even that. It's like like hold my hand and they're touching because they know that they've always had this spark between them, but nothing can come between it. And so, it's like, this is our point of contact. And now we're gonna.
So
sorry. I just want to say this one thing. I really do. It's interesting because Elzar, we see not a lot from Elzar Mann in this book, right? Compared to like Avar Kriss and so many other characters. But, the connection between them is so fascinatingly lovely. This is another thing where you can use kind of the magic of the Force to create a relationship that has a deep intimacy without it being intimate in a more traditional sense, right?
Their characters are so intimately connected, reminds me of the intimate relationships in Miyazaki films.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Reminds me very much of the way that like the romantic relationships in Miyazaki films develop, where it's like more about them being their spirits being drawn to each other and helping each other grow. And then them developing, like creating this bond through the way that they've constantly helped each other grow. And as far as I think it was that when I was looking at the concept art, okay, so I looked at the concept art for Bel Zettifar, which is why I was like, don't worry, it's not as important, because it was just me going back in and like, I was like, wow, that character design, like I think that's probably the most attractive Jedi I've ever seen. And then like, I was like looking at like the, I was like, oh, I feel like he might be with his age, I was kind of like, oh, but now I get a little bit of like little brother vibes. And he might be like, but,
don't rain on my Bel Zettifar parade.
I'm not There's nothing wrong. There's nothing wrong with. There's nothing wrong with that kind of an age gap. It just ain't my thing.
And he is like 17, right?
I like being baby.
Wait. I just realized that he's probably like 17.
That's why
No. He's got to be a little older than that. I mean,
feel
if we think,
dirty now.
If we think what, like Obi-Wan. Ewan McGregor, Obi-Wan was what? He's maybe like 20-ish.
Okay, wait, hold on.
Right?
So what year does this take place in? What year does...
Oh gosh, this is what, like 4,000...
So wait, the Great Disaster takes place in... This is very important. We have to find out how long...
Oh God, please let him at least be 18.
Disaster, Star Wars, takes place in year 323. So
323. Which way? What are they counting from though?
It says 323 BBY.
Before the Battle of Yavin.
323 BBY. I was off.
Battle of Yavin. So 320.
So
wait, how do you know how are you calculating his age?
Because on Star Wars fandom it says he was born in 250 BBY.
Okay. I don't math so good, so I'm waiting for the calculator.
Well, I don't math so good, so let's talk about a different part while I do the math.
Okay. So you do the math.
I was attracted to his ability to be so nice to like an animal that is basically made of fire, and that it inspired loyalty. And I just thought, I like your spirit, Mister.
Yeah, I also like the fire dog. Fire dog was kind of
Ember.
Ember, yes.
Yeah.
I like how I low key really love that character because like I'm big on the Star Wars creatures, but I liked it because there was like a little line where it was like, we're not really supposed to form attachments, but
right.
we all decided to name her.
Yeah, that was a great bit.
Not, this group of Jedi totally not attached. So it's kind of interesting showing how far away from like Coruscant, lines get a little blurred.
Yeah. This is kind of one of my overall impressions too. I really love how much world building this book does, and getting to see so many Jedi in so many different situations, and not necessarily it being like we've seen the Clone Wars where it's General Kenobi, General Windu, right? Where it's problem solvers. It is truly what it is to be keepers of the peace, which is not something we've seen a lot of, honestly, in Star Wars to date, right?
He's 18. You're only a little bit of a cradle robber.
Oh, thank God. Okay, so maybe, but I mean, he's mature for his age.
He's a Jedi.
He's a Jedi. He's mature for his age.
I agree, though. I like being baby. I always date people who are like 5 years older than me.
Like, I'm baby, thank you. No, I think despite having very little,
It's hot in here.
appearances, the thing that really got me was like when Elzar Mann literally shushed a politician, was just like, shut the up. It was just shush, and just like puts a hand on the guy's mouth or some equivalent to that. And I was like, all right, like Jedi with a sense of humor, who's like not too keen on politicians. I'm like, okay.
I don't want to rush us too much, but we are getting close. But I do want to kind of call out, so with this particular section of the book, a lot of it is kind of buried in battle, right? It's the big final kind of standoff, and I really kind of enjoyed like how this battle kind of played out, and kind of you can kind of see how Marchion Ro is basically manipulating the whole situation. We also have a lot of really interesting. Okay, wait, where is this? Okay, so I found it really interesting. There was, I can't remember who. This is from Kasav's perspective. He's talking about the differences of each of the leadership of the Nihil, right? So of course, Marchion Ro does not have a fleet with him, but the three other Tempest runners do. And he talks about how Pan Eta has a tendency to recruit thinkers. Lorna D recruits liars and sneaks, but Kasav hires like warriors, right? And you kind of see how that plays out, where all of his warrior-minded people lead to a lot of just really crazy tactics that throw the Republic for a loop, right? Like with the dumping
death by
toxic waste.
sludge. Yeah,
it's death by sludge and radiation drops, using packing explosives into the
escape pods, yeah.
Using harpoons to rip things apart.
The good guys went to go rescue them.
Yeah, it's pretty brutal, and it shows kind of the deep differences, right?
Yeah, which kind of brings me to the fact that now that we've wrapped up the book and had like the final battle, which like if we weren't clear on the methods of the Nile before. Like now we really know what their MO is, and we have just how far like they're willing to go.
Well, it'll also be interesting to see, right? Because this is the interesting thing to me is like the thinkers and the liars and sneaks have all seen the results of the warriors doing crazy stuff. It's how they apply it, right? Is something that would be interesting to see what they do with, right?
So what do you think, because we've talked a lot about different themes within the Star Wars universe. So what themes specifically did you guys think were at play in this particular novel, and how that ties into the original trilogies and the rest of the content?
Well,
that's a big one, but like we're wrapping, so.
Can I just say that I used to think that the Nihil were a bit like Reavers, right? But they've got more brain power, right? Reavers are whacked out. Now, after all the speeches that Marchion gave and listening to them talk to each other, and I'm really sorry if this offends anybody that's watching, but I started to think of them more as being like Trumpers.
I mean, that is definitely there is that. I mean, he basically states a case for oh god, I think I made note of this. What was it?
Were you on the same page as I am?
I felt that too, just in the sense that it was very much like a cult of personality.
Well,
and then Markion is totally willing to send them on these courses that will make them collide with other things, and that to me seemed like Trump willing to sacrifice his followers.
Right.
It's all Lord Farquaad vibes. Like, some of you die, but that is a sacrifice I am willing to make.
Well, I mean, yeah, it's that his rhetoric is weaponizing this concept of freedom and individualism, right? To a point where it kind of defies their own logic. It's a false sense of freedom. To the literal extreme where you're talking about the pathogen thing, right? Just to be clear, I don't think anyone has control of their own pathogen, right? The idea is that all these ships are slaved in to what other paths that Markion punches in. So they don't even have time to aim during that. Their ship is just jumping around, and that's ultimately how the fleet is annihilated.
Yep.
Which is horrifying, right?
Well, it's that kind of blind faith aspect, that blind faith brought on by populism, like giving people just enough of what they want, playing to their desires and their fears or their anger.
Yeah, I had another crazy thought. Do you think that Markion and his father were also Santekas?
I'm not sure, just because it says that they're humanoid. I don't know if they're dancing around giving him a species because he's a species in a world that we've not come across yet, or whether they are human and something happened to them in hyperspace.
I'm also just kind of like, right, because he talks about his father a good deal, and he even claims that he kills Kassav in order to get revenge for killing his father.
And will be killing the others. Sorry, Lorna D. That makes me laugh every time. I'm a 13-year-old boy.
What I found very interesting, what I found really interesting, that I kind of want to, it makes me want to give it a second read through at least the end of it. When he kills Kassav and then states his intentions to eventually take out the other Tempest runners, I'm trying to figure out if that's not kind of already him sowing like the seeds of his own demise.
Oh, interesting.
Already. Because something that you have to think about is he says that he's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you were the one who killed my dad. But then there were some other things that I could go quote mining that if I wanted to, they gave me the impression that he wasn't 100% for sure, but he kind of also didn't care. It was just, that was the excuse that he gave himself. And whether or not it was true, he's like, I think there might have even been a line where he's like, whether or not it was true, I was going to kill the guy anyway.
Right.
Yeah. See, that's kind of what was giving me the Joker vibes before, right? It's
yes, 100%.
But I was wondering, it's also because they didn't quite explain how he came into having the ship with, what's her name? Mari Santeca?
I think it was Mari Santeca.
Yeah. How he got his hands on this ship, because you'd think the family would try and take care of their great-great-grandmother who
they think she's dead. Remember when they go visit the people on the planet, the couple?
The other Santecas, right?
Yeah. And they're like, she can't still be alive, right?
Yeah,
right.
Because, from what I remember correctly, if I'm remembering this correctly, she was basically treated as human chattel at one point, or traded in a deal where she was supposed to be indentured to them. it seemed like maybe like her, like I think the thing with like with her family where either she got kidnapped from them or was supposed to be ransomed back or was like it was supposed to be indentured, and then his father was just kind of like, nope, psych, keeping her. And I think it seems like at that point the Santekas already had an empire, right. And there was no way for them, I would imagine, to, kind of put out a missing persons. It's not like they could put out like a pan-galactic missing persons report,
right?
For one of their best kept secrets, you know, because then what about all of the other hyperspace prospecting and hyperspace travel companies that are out there? Like they could kidnap her back. So my guess is they probably wanted to keep it under the radar, and then they probably just assumed, well, shit, I guess she's died, until this whole incident comes up, and then they think about, could that be her? Would she even still be alive? Because that seems to be kind of the consensus between the two heads of the Santeka family, was like, wait a minute, there's no way. Could that be?
What do you guys think his end game for Loden? Like this is a weird setup, right? Where there's 8 cages, 7 of them have random people that he's just torturing in order to block his Loden's connection to the Force.
Which that is a new kind of torture that we really haven't seen before in Star Wars, right?
That's a special kind of devious, man.
Yeah.
And it's that whole long game. He's put a lot of thought into this. Mm-hmm. I think he had even said something at one point that he'd been taught this by his dad and and maybe his grandmother. I think was one of them.
Oh, I missed that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Because they also taught him how to not be susceptible to the Jedi mind manipulation.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yeah. I think it was. I think there was a grandmother involved in that.
I missed that. Yeah, I mean, because my initial thought was, I mean, is he trying to turn him to the dark side, or is he trying to turn, or is he planning for Mari Santeka to die soon, and is he trying to basically like plug Loden into the ship as a replacement or something like that,
or attract more Jedi, thinking that they'll rescue or attempt to rescue him.
Yeah, well, it's like, what is he using the Jedi for too, right? Because he doesn't. I mean,
it seems to. I mean, it seems to have something to do with wanting to take advantage of the Jedi's connection to the Force, or corrupt it, pervert it, twist it, and use it in some way. I mean, particularly considering, I mean, they did say early on in the book about how they're running out of paths, new paths in hyperspace, right? But. Anyways, that said, but yeah, we get all of these reveals, and we also the Starlight Beacon is opened. We get some great speeches from Lena Soule about where the Republic is and what the symbolism of the Starlight Beacon is, and they talk a little bit more about this idea of we are all the Republic. Which I quite appreciated.
I wonder if is the Starlight Beacon kind of a forerunner for a Death Star?
I thought of that too, right?
Yeah, the anti-Death Star, and I wonder if some of the tech that they used to create it isn't later siphoned off and repurposed.
Because they specifically talked about having to use it was built out of something, 14% of it was built out of this one material. Otherwise, they never would have been able to make something this big.
Right.
And it just made me, I don't know, like a beacon. I don't know. It made me wonder.
I mean, it is certainly, I mean, I think it's very intentional choice to go from, a space station with the power to destroy a planet versus a space station that is connecting the outer rim and increasing the presence of the Republic beyond.
I mean,
the core.
Palpatine was slowly rotting the Republic from the inside out, right? I mean, why not? Why couldn't he bastardize that idea of the Starlight Beacon into something like the Death Star?
Absolutely. Well, but that said, I think we've come up onto the limit of our time tonight. We've had a lot of great stuff.
Yeah,
final thoughts on the book?
If anybody wants a quick and thorough overview of, without reading the entire novel, of what's going on in the new Star Wars EU in terms of specifically the Light of the Jedi, Dork Side of the Force has a really good synopsis full of spoilers for anybody who missed any of the other episodes or wanted to just kind of get a breakdown of the whole novel.
And I will say, though, if you've got the time or the interest, this is a book I recommend, right? I mean, it's a great starting point, and as we are told, this is like the big adult novels that will kind of carry the High Republic main arc. This one and then the next one that's coming up is it coming up in next summer? Is that right, Lexi?
I don't know that.
Okay. But yeah, I mean, I think this is a good introduction. It's a good branching off point if you're interested in the other books. And there's a lot of great world building and character building. I recommend it. What do you guys say?
I definitely would, especially, if you kind of feel starved for Star Wars content after the main trilogy's ending. Not the original, the main trilogies that they just finished wrapping up and Mandalorian wrapping up. If you want some Star Wars content and need some downtime that's away from a screen, or, I mean, if you're reading it on a screen, then I don't know. Okay.
All things in screen.
It's a great one to listen to if you have a drive ahead of you too. As far as like audiobooks go, I'm not usually a huge fan of audiobooks unless I'm driving somewhere, but it's a good one. Some of them can be kind of cheesy, and this one wasn't. Just be aware of the ages of your fictional crushes before you get too attached to them.
And with that said, this has been the Pod Squadron. Special thanks to our new followers, Sackett 1701D. Is that a Star Trek reference? And Collimation TV, VR Diamond League for the resub, and Nefarious for the raid. We will be raiding Denise Pantoja. And do we have any squad reports? Questions from the galaxy?
There's been lots of comments about libraries and grandmothers, and that it was 19% triurizite and yes, yep,
Starlight Beacon.
All kinds of great conversation, especially Kevin and Paul are really like killing it in the comment section.
Excellent. Next week, we are going to be continuing our Clone Wars rewatch and selecting kind of some of our favorite arcs, our most impactful arcs. We are going to jigger things a little bit because now that we know the release date for the Star Wars The Bad Batch, or Star Wars The Clone Wars The Bad Batch, or I don't know how many colons there are in that. But we're going to shift to some specific episodes that will prepare us for that. So first up, March 27th, we're going to cover the return of Darth Maul and his dealings with the Mandalorians and Death Watch. That's episode 514 through 516. Make sure you watch those on Disney Plus before next week, and we'll talk about those. And we will have another guest next week, I think. But we'll have to confirm things before we announce that. And then in 2 weeks, we'll start outright and get really deep into all the Clone Wars stuff. We'll get into Clone Wars episodes, season 3, episode 1 and 2, season 1, episode 5, and season 3, episodes 18 through 20. So these are all episodes about the clones, specifically Echo, Rex, and some of the other most important clones that lead us into the Bad Batch.
Order 6. Oh, yes.
And Order 66. But we also want to see all of your Star Wars creations. Do you cosplay, make fan films, build droids, build models, sell stuff on Etsy? Show us your Star Wars. Show us how Star Wars has inspired you, and we just might feature you here on the show. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are here on the Geekish Network every Saturday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Please follow Geekish Network here on Twitch and subscribe to the channel. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link your account and sub us using Prime Gaming. Check the schedules for all the other great shows on here throughout the week. This Monday, we'll be covering the new Snyder Cut of Justice League, so you can join us for that this coming Monday. Also, thanks on the flight deck to Mike and Rodney, also Digital Click Marketing. They specialize in digital marketing design and social media advertising. Find them at digitalclick.com. And we are the Pod Squadron. Please check out our content on podsquadron.com. Like and subscribe on Twitch, YouTube. Follow us on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram for podcast subscriptions. You can subscribe on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, or your favorite podcast app. And I am Chinese Pirate at Chinese Pirate _ on all platforms.
I'm Tracy, and I just want to say happy Persian New Year, happy first day of spring, and happy birthday to my dad. And Lexi.
Oh no, just happy birthday to your dad being on. Yay, spring.
Yay.
Thanks for Tracy.
Yay.
And Lexi, where can they find you?
Find me on Instagram, posting every so often at Feral Geek Aesthetic.
And also,
all the hot nerd girls. Yeah, you know.
And make sure you check out all of Lauren Mary Kim's YouTube page. She's got a lot of great video, a lot of great content. You can also find her on some of the digital corridor stuff as well. Once again, we are raiding Denise Pantoja. All wings return to base, core slate in, and prepare to make the jump to lightspeed on my mark.
Drink, chug.
And remember,
chug.
The truth we cling to depends on our own point of view. Only the Sith deal in absolutes. Good night. And be good to each other.
I thought